here. It's Lisa Stade of the YouTube channels of Lisa Stade and Hitler Obsessed. I'm here telling you now about part 10 of part 2 of the lecture series of Adolf Hitler's life and death. Now, where I left off on was what Hitler came back to in the Germany at the time. Now, another little interesting bit about Hitler's lifestyle was he would be called the King of Munich. Hitler personally did not like the bourgeoisie. If you study a bit about or learned in your schooling about communism, the bourgeoisie, and to Karl Marx, was the upper class, wealthy, what I guess they call it the 1%, well, now the guys that everyone wants to eat, called the rich. The proletariat was the 99%, the working class, no labor. And Hitler didn't like these guys, so this was another little thing that would turn up in National Socialism, in Nazism, was his dislike for the wealthy. But, Hitler would use them to his advantage, because knowing Hitler, he was good at manipulation, great at exploiting, not the best guy. Okay? But Hitler would get this nickname, I guess, of the King of Munich. So Hitler would have this, because of his dress style, was that typical to what the bourgeoisie dressed as. Hitler, even in his early years would dress that way, even when he was with his friend Albert Kubitschek in Vienna. And they would kind of refer to him as the dandy of Linz or whatever because of this style. So, pretty much a guy that mooches off his mother and lives a very expensive lifestyle. You probably know the kind of people I'm talking about because they exist to this day. The guys that have the big expensive stuff, but they live with their parents. Most people in that kind of situation, they're not living wealthy lives. But, they're still out there. They're also very stuck-up kind of people. Great idea for having a bit of a rant and a lecture about Adolf Hitler. Is that correct? But no, Hitler would have this nickname. And he would have this little nickname there, and a lot of people didn't thought he wasn't part of the proletariat, the hard-working guys. I mean, who does he think he is? He's a grifter. He's a con artist, that Adolf Hitler. He's a con artist. He's probably, probably the situation in today, I guess you'd call Hitler a con artist, which great if you're manipulating, exploiting people, do some horrible stuff. You gotta be grifting pretty hard there. Gotta be shelling out something there. But Adolf Hitler ended up, eventually he was still at the time, at this moment in his life, he was still working in serving with the German army. He would serve with the German army and stay in the regiment headquarters there till he would be, eventually he would have to leave until his time serving was done in the army. So he had a little moment you had to serve in the army as a guy in Germany. And Hitler's time, I guess maybe that's even now for Hitler. Well, for any German now in Germany, not Hitler. He's not alive. Thank goodness. But Adolf Hitler would stay in the regiment there still. And, Hitler did take some classes again, that were offered at the military base there. And this is where Hitler would find out from a guy that he could, to use a Hitler quote here, he could learn to speak, that he found out one day, he found out that I could speak. Nowadays, that just comes, a dime a dozen, and here on YouTube and social media, now everybody could speak, if the policies are happy. if the algorithm is happy, everybody can speak. But in Hitler's day, it was, I guess, I could speak because no algorithm, I guess. But no, there was probably stuff back then too. You couldn't say. But yet again, Hitler was listening to this one guy giving a series of lectures about, was it interest slavery. So this guy was against, I guess, capitalism and investing in the market. And knowing back then, that would have been heavily related with, anti-Semitism. I'm not going to go into that stuff here for video on YouTube. Go research that stuff yourself if you're brave enough to. It's terrible. But, Hitler would stay with the regiment, the List regiment there, I guess, whichever regiment he was serving under at the time. I think the guy who he was serving under was named Max Ehrmann, I guess, if I'm pronouncing it correctly, or even remembering the correct guy who was his, I guess, superior commanding officer at the time. Hitler would be asked to investigate and infiltrate as a spy a little fringe group called the DAP, the Deutschlander Arbeiterpartei, which was the German Workers' Party. And this was what Hitler would have become a member of, that would get this, end up becoming the NSDAP, which was the National Socialist German Workers' Party. In German, that's National Socialistische Deutschlander Arbeiterpartei, which is the Nazi Party, the Nazis. But at this time, they were going by German Workers' Party. They're owned by two guys. One guy was a member of this secret organization called the Thule Society. And Hitler, I don't know, nobody really knows if he was a part of that group. There was conspiracy theories that he was. And knowing conspiracy theories, they're not the most factual, if he was a part of that. But one of the leaders of German Workers' Party to become the Nazi Party was a part of this group called the Thule Society. It was an esoteric, very nationalist German mysticism, occult kind of society. Now, a lot of society at that time in Germany was deeply involved with that, especially after the First World War, which Hitler, he would dabble into it. I don't think he was a big believer in it. Maybe. I mean, some people like to accuse him of being a Satanist. I don't know. I think I'm more focused on if Hitler was what he was doing, not his religion. I mean, if I was Billy Graham, I guess I would focus, and if Hitler was alive, I guess, but I'm just a random small YouTuber with a history major, making a lecture of a series of videos about Adolf Hitler's life and death. I think I care more about Hitler's actions and his beliefs, or his religion, I guess, outside of ideology or whatever. But the other guy was one of these group members who wanted to bring the ideas of the Thule Society for the common average Joe, average Jane. Because this society, the Thule Society, was kind of more upper class, so he wanted to give the commoner the best thing, which I guess would be just a political party. Who would have thunk it? No. Bit weird, I think, with no elections coming up in 2024 to say that. Creepiest thing anyway. But weirdest idea to why that was there. Yeah, they had, some weird things in the society, I think, now. If they had that over there too, they had the upper class 1% gets it through, and the little average Joe gets on another DAP or whatever. No, this scraps to insult him. Will become one of the worst parties out there. Run by a guy like Hitler. But Hitler would infiltrate this party, and he thought they were complete joke and BS and just nonsense, just a bunch of losers, drunks that were hanging around the back rooms of a beer hall. No good nothing, no good losers, nothing much of value. And yes, they would also invite speakers, I guess because at political parties you have your little rallies or meetings and you invite your speakers. They invite this same guy I don't think, it was the same guy that would turn up also with the interest slavery, and then there was another guy, Hitler, completely wrecked. To use a little reference from Mein Kampf, the guy was like pivotal. He was just wrecked. Kind of like everyone does in the YouTube comment section. It's pretty much no man's land sometimes here on YouTube with the comments. That's why some people just are complete cowards and disable those things. Because they do not want to face it head on. But the other guy was his message was about how to solve Germany's problem, whether they should be unified. Hitler would get up in this guy's lecture and start calling him out and shouting him down, saying that, Germany should be unified with Austria, they shouldn't be separate, they should be annexed. And yes, Hitler would bring up this even in Mein Kampf. And the interesting thing is this is like, hey, here's a little bit of a blueprint of what's going to happen to Austria when I invade my home country and join it together with the Reich, and then with the German Reich, which was at the time to be called the Greater German Reich. That would end up being called the Ostmark. I'm going to end this video now of part 10 of part 2 and say this is Lisa Stade here of the YouTube channels of Lisa Stade and Hitler Obsessed, telling you to like these videos, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and setting it to all to see all new videos uploaded. Sharing these videos, leave me a comment, leave me feedback, donate to my Patreon, donate to my Subscribe Star, go to my BitChute channel and see Lisa Marie Stade. Just only see that channel because that's probably the safest little place on BitChute.com that you can see now, knowing the mess of things. You can send me a friend request or leave me a comment or do both on my Facebook account of Lisa Stade and my Facebook account of my other Facebook account, which is Facebook Messenger, that is Lisa Stade also. So, and now this is the end of part 10 of part 2, and on to part 11. I'm literally having to redo this horrible thing. This is lovely.